Okay, money. We spend the most awake and vibrant hours of our lives earning it. And we think about it so much, we worry about it, and we spend a lot of our lives figuring out more ways to make more of it. And we waste so much of it. I'm going to talk to you guys today about finances. So, after listening to my speech, you're going to change the way that you manage your money. I've spent a lot of time in my life learning about the topic of finances. I actually used to be a partner in a leadership development franchise where I coach people about money. Some people twice my age. And I've read tons of books. My favorite I put up here, it's called The Richest Man in Babylon. It uses allegory to teach some really great, sound financial principles. And I'd recommend that everybody get this book, read it, and then buy 2 copies and give it to your friends. Like, it's one of the best books on finances ever written. I've gone to a lot of seminars on finances, and I'm not rich, but I've had the chance to learn from a lot of millionaires back when I had that business about how they manage their money. And now I save more than half of the money I make, and my bills are less than a third of the money I make. And like I said, I probably don't make a lot more than you guys in here, but I've got a lot more options because I manage my finances well, I believe. And we'd all like to make more money, right? And I think a lot of people look at money and think, oh, if I had more of it, my financial problems would just go away. But that's not true, because the amount of money you have is not how much you make, it's how much you save. And the person who makes $100,000 a year and spends $120,000 is really broke and probably a lot more stressed out than any of us are. So let's look at where this comes from. Today we're going to talk about how big of a problem financial illiteracy is in America. And then we're going to take it kind of on a micro level and look at what kind of problems that can cause in an individual's life. We're going to talk about what I believe the simple cause of financial illiteracy in America is, and a few simple things you can do to transform your financial situation. And a lot of people worry about the government. Oh, the government's broken, spending all this money. But we don't think about our situation. It was really hard to find information on financial literacy that didn't concern politicians. Nobody looks in the mirror and thinks about it themselves. But what about your financial situation? According to Business Insider, Americans collectively throw away $49 billion a year on credit card interest payments, $76 billion on soda, $29 billion on candy, and $165 billion a year on uneaten food. That's a lot of waste. And according to an article by Helen Elaine on the USA Today website, the average American will have $45,000 in debt before they turn 30 years old. Also, according to Ask.com, 25% of American families have no savings at all. And those who do are saving less. The savings rate has dropped from 11% of income on average to less than 3% today. So folks, this is a big problem. We're burning up a lot of money here. But how does that affect the individual? Well, let's look at a classic example of, I think, the biggest waste of money that people do on an everyday basis. Say you agree to pay $15,000 for this classy Dodge Neon here. A nice used car, pretty reasonable price, right? You agree to pay 20% APR for 4 years, pretty average, especially for younger people without great credit. Did you know that when you're done paying for that car, it will cost you $21,000 when you add the interest in? That's $7,000 you'll pay in interest alone. And at the end of that 4 years, is that car even going to be worth $7,000? Let's assume that it is worth $7,000. Now you've thrown away $15,000 because the car depreciated. What would you do with an extra $15,000? And also, a lack of savings and insurance sends many into bankruptcy every year. Did you know that medical emergency is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America? So people aren't having coverage. They don't secure their financial situation. If you get in a car accident and you don't have good insurance, and they come after you, you hurt somebody, you're going to go bankrupt, and it's going to ruin your financial situation for the rest of your life. And many Americans don't have enough savings to survive for 1 month if they lost their job today. Do you? Now, let's talk about what causes all this mess. A book by Eric Weiss called Financial Literacy in America states that there's 2 main causes. One, that high schools don't teach financial education. And 2, that people don't get financial advice from people who have fruit on the tree, that know what they're talking about. They get it from their parents. I used to take financial advice from my parents until I realized they're both broke. They don't know anything about money. I don't agree with his first cause, though, because I don't think it's society's job to teach us about finances. Because society wants us to spend all our money on fancy new cars and, vacations and credit cards. So I think the main cause really, it's because we don't get advice from people who know about money. So I'm going to give you guys a few basic things you can do to transform your financial situation. Okay? And it starts by first assessing where you stand financially. And the first thing you can do to figure that out is get a piece of paper, write out your expenses and your income. And do simple math. How much am I spending versus how much am I making? And if your bills, your bread and butter bills, like, your rent and your whatever other bills you have to pay every month are more than half of what you make, red flags should be going off. Do you really need cable? Is having cable worth going into a bad financial situation? Probably not. Get Netflix. You're already paying for internet anyway. There's little things we can do to start shaving off all that stuff. And another thing to assess your financial situation, get a little book and take it for a week with you. Write down every time you spend 50 cents, anything. And then at the end of the week, look at how much money you've spent on little things, candy bars, this and that. I did this, and I figured out I was spending $200 a month on Starbucks and $400 a month on alcohol. That's a lot of money. So what did I do? I started drinking coffee at home, and instead of going out after work with my friends to the bar, say, hey, let's go back to my place. And it's cheaper to buy a 6-pack than it is for me to buy 2 beers at a bar and tip a bartender. And everybody gets to drink. So, really, little things like that. If you don't know where your money's going, you can't make changes. Number 2, never finance anything that depreciates. This includes cars. You can finance a house because it's going to hold its value, and it might fluctuate, but after 10 years, if say it drops, it'll come back. But a car is never going to be worth as much as you paid for it, unless it's like 1,000 years old, and you've restored it. Financing jet skis and motorcycles. And folks, if you have to finance your recreation, it's not time to play. Right? So never finance anything that depreciates. And number 3, secure your financial situation. That means start saving your money. A good way to start is take 10% of your money from your paycheck you get and put it away. You might as well be going to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. That 10% is in savings, don't touch it. And then you'll get used to living on that 90%. You can start going up from there. And you'll feel a lot more safe knowing that money is there. All right? Like I went to the hospital last night, and I wasn't worried because I have the money. And it would have been all right. And 2, make sure you have good insurance, like we talked about. That's the number 1 cause of bankruptcy, is not having enough insurance. And you might have to pay a little more, but in the long run, if something happens, you're going to be glad that you had it. You're going to have peace of mind. Right? So make sure you got good health insurance and good car insurance. And, we could, get that book. There's a lot more we can do to learn about money, but, stop taking advice from people who don't know and start reading from, lots of really successful millionaires have written how to manage money, and we can learn that. Because society is not going to teach us how to do it. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys today. This is a subject I'm really passionate about, and we talked about how big of a problem financial literacy is in America, how it affects individuals, and a few simple things you can do to start transforming your financial situation. Thank you very much.